Alrighty, welcome to Brush Up Your Game, and today I have Mr. Jeff Sonas with me, and well, you probably know Jeff because he is now I'd say the lead organizer of the Fremont Reformation. Jeff, is that accurate?
I guess at least the most active one. So yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think
I'll take that on.
at least knowing the behind the scenes like I do, I think you're kind of the glue that holds everything together these days. That that's how I'll describe you. You tend
Sure.
to you kind of put people in the right places to help everything run smoothly.
Yeah. That's been quite a project. It's coming on 3 years long now,
Oh
and
goodness,
still
yeah.
going strong.
I
That's
was
amazing.
just the other day. I was looking back through uh, our local San Francisco Bay Area Facebook group at posts that happened around the pandemic start in like February, March of 2020, and how we were all excited about our unsanctioned regionals.
Yeah, I
And
worked
then it
so hard for
was
that.
okay, March. No, got to close. We hope to do it in summer, and then in the fall it was okay. We're moving everything online. Here's the link to the Discord, and
Right.
it started just as Fremont Discord, and it clearly expanded from there.
Yeah. Those are the days. I remember the very first tournament we tried to play online. We did special pairings so that in round one, it was every game was a Fremont person against a non-Fremont person
Oh
because we
yeah,
had a few people from across the country mostly, and Fremont lost every single game. That was so humbling. We thought
yeah.
we were
That
the hub of the attack wing world, and maybe we were, but we still lost every game.
I think there's a certain truth to that. Like uh, overall, it iron sharpened iron. It made everybody better for what
Yeah,
it
sure.
was. And I think if we ever did get the band back together, as it were, I think the quality of play in Fremont would be a lot stronger than it ever was. But at that moment, I think what kind of happened is we got the best the world had to offer, and
It's true.
the
Yeah.
best of the best against our little pocket was uh,
Right. With its own weaknesses that we've never exploited internally because we didn't know about them or whatever. Yeah, we
right.
had Joseph in that tournament. We had Brian in that tournament. There was some tough competition out there.
Right. It was the biggest of big names, and it's like, okay, hey, uh, it's much the same way I felt when I went to Origins in 2017. Maybe the way you felt when you went to Worlds was that
Hmm.
2018,
End
2019,
of 18. Yeah.
18.
End of 18 and then Nationals in 19 were the
Yeah,
two that we went to. Yeah.
you can go, hey, I'm pretty good, and then you go, no, you're not.
That's right.
And I think that's part of everything we do is we're trying to learn. So
Yeah. The Discord really facilitates the interaction and the discussion and the helping of each other. So that's been great.
yeah,
I do feel like it is sort of the iron sharpening iron kind of thing, even for people who aren't playing but are just sort of surrounded by talent and expertise out there.
and I think that's one of the things that helped in the Discord in the last couple months. We launched that page or thread for like help me out, help me
Hmm.
understand this topic better, or watch my game and give me feedback, that sort of thing. Which,
Yeah, the mission debriefing thing.
yeah,
I think it's what we called it. Yeah.
it's you know one being willing to ask for help always takes a certain skill set because you have to be willing to go, okay, I don't know everything. I need and want to get better. And two, the people who are taking their time to help others out, that really is showing the community spirit.
Yeah. And there's people who maybe have something to suggest or offer, but they're going to be hesitant because it's like, well, that's a weird dynamic. Unless you're actually inviting me to criticize you, I don't want to criticize you. So
Right.
so having that the way that people can literally ask for help and say, please tell me what I did wrong. I think I can handle it. It's a nice dynamic.
It is a nice dynamic. So, all right. So let's turn the clock back a while.
Okay.
When did you first hear about Attack Wing, get into Attack Wing? Like, what's your initial journey?
Okay. Well, I would say it was probably 2016 or 2017. My son James was 11 or 12 back then, and we were enjoying watching Star Trek and getting into some games, card games, and he was really into ship classes. And so I started looking around to see is there some game out there, some relatively inexpensive game that has Star Trek ships because he loves to fiddle with those. And I guess I went to the game store and looked, and there were some starter sets that were $30 and then some games that were 60 or 70. So I went, okay, I'll go with the cheap one. I'll get this Attack Wing starter set. And did not remotely turn out to be cheap, but
No.
it worked really well because he was really into all the ship classes and then buying expansions. And man, there were so many expansions to buy out there.
Oh yeah.
And then I saw on Facebook, connected with Robert, or I think it was Robert, and he was willing to give me some ships, but he said you have to come to the game store and play too. So, so I took the bold step of seeing other people and going out and doing that, and that was really fun. I'd never done anything like that before
Yeah,
at the
Robert
game
had
store.
a great way of hooking people in.
Yeah,
Be like, I'll
absolutely.
give you some free stuff, but you got to come be a part of us.
Right, right.
It worked to have some people in, and yeah, I remember you coming in at one point to Game Castle in Fremont. I was there. I think I was on the buy round at one point when maybe when you first walked in.
Hmm.
And I, you know, we chatted for a little bit. I told you what my experiences with the game, and then I think the next month you were back with James, and I was like, "Hey, we're growing here. This is great."
Another generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his very first game he played was against Todd, so he was really thrown into the fire there against. I guess he was Fremont's best player back then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone acted like he was.
I goodness, I kind of like to say Craig was the best until he faced Todd.
Ah, okay.
Craig kind of had a Todd shaped barrier
Oh, really?
on him.
Okay,
He could
that
not beat
happens.
Todd for the life of him. Sam was up there depending on the build. I had my moments, but I was never. I just I was getting to the point I didn't take it seriously enough. I was going there for fun.
Yeah, yeah. You have to commit to certain things in order to really be at the top. That's
Well,
for sure.
it's I I'd gone through my hyper competitive phase when I went to Origins and was properly humbled. I kind of had my moment of okay, I've done my competitive thing. I need to cycle and start enjoying the game for the Star Trek aspects of it. Didn't mean I didn't want to play competitively. You know, to quote uh, Coach Herman Edwards, you play to win the game. But I was also going to play to do my best, and I wanted to go for people and to have fun and to do other things. And goodness, Fremont didn't need another hyper competitive player in the arena, and I was perfectly fine with a. You know, I guess I would rather play a fun build and go like 1 and 2 than a hyper competitive build and go 2-1 and go like, oh, if only I had done this, 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 and
Mm,
this, I would have won. Because that I'll save that for other games
yeah.
at this
Yeah,
point.
there's a certain appeal to bringing a fleet that you think is good and doing your best, but just sort of, I want to see what unfolds on the board. And,
Yeah.
it's, we'll make a little Star Trek scene here and see what happens if this had been true, and not being too attached to the outcome. It happens though. You spend hours and hours perfecting your fleet. It's really hard not to be invested in the success of the fleet and the rightness of your design. That goes
Yeah.
with the hyper competitive part.
And I think that was the other thing for me. I stopped trying to build like weeks in advance, and I found myself I was building like the day before or 2 days before. And I think when that happens, you become a little less invested.
Mm-hmm.
The times when I was building, you know, Monday or the weekend before, then I was like, okay, I care a bit more. And I started
Yeah,
thinking, oh, if I tweak this, I can do this instead. And
yeah. I really enjoyed those. I guess it was years, not just months.
yeah,
Because I had a 12 or 13-year-old son, and he was really into attack wing and wanted to do attack wing stuff every night. So we spent like an hour every night. So sort of the cycle of those game store monthly events was really neat. We'd finish one, and then we'd have a few weeks to get ready for the next one and work on his fleet or work on my fleet or play our fleets out. And it's it was fun. I was sad to see that get shut down by the pandemic, and I guess there's no going back to those good old days. But boy, I
no,
sure have some fond memories of those times. I'm
yeah,
glad Fremont was around.
yeah. It really was a. Well, it generated a lot of good relationships. I will
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that
that's right.
connections between people, like for us, more than just you and me, but with Robert and a lot of people. There were good people involved, and I think that's something that's happened with this game. Is it's more than just the game. There are good people involved in this game, and
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
the people that I've gotten to know through playing this and being active in the community are fantastic. That's why I do what I do. If I mean
Sure.
point blank, if the community sucked, if y'all were monsters, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I don't want to be involved in toxicity.
Right, right. I hear you.
So
Yeah, I don't know if some of that. I mean, I guess for a while there, the game was flourishing, but now as it has dried up a bit in terms of numbers, I think a lot of people are coming in just grateful. It's like, oh my gosh, there's other people. Yeah, maybe they're across the country, but I can actually play with them over the computer or something now. And people are just so excited to be able to play the game.
yeah,
So that helps. But yes, yes, not to discount your point about them being good people also.
no,
But
but
there certainly is a element of gratitude, I think, in here.
and I think that extends is you find people and you're grateful to have people to play with, and now with Alliance you can play by yourself if you need to. You can play with just one friend, and it's not always this, okay, I'm way better than you, so I'm going to win because I built the
Yeah,
fleet.
yeah.
It's, you know what, we're going to have fun and we're going to do something together, and maybe we get our butts kicked. Okay, well, that
Which
didn't
is
work.
quite fun, especially when it's not the other person's fault. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Have you been playing Alliance?
Not much recent. Well, actually, yeah, yeah, I have. So it came out. We played it a little bit, but we were still really into the competitive attack wing stuff. So we mostly looked at it as another source of cards. But more recently, my son moved up to another state a year ago, but I've been turning on a close friend to the game, and we played a couple 1v1 games, but then I thought, let's try Alliance. That would be fun. So we played the very first mission about a month ago. We played it twice, and the first time just barely lost. We lost to the warp core breach firing.
Oh,
Uh, and then the second time we just got out on the last turn, and man, that was a blast. I just loved it, even though it was just the first simple exploratory mission where you got to scan both, you got to pick up both mission tokens with scans, but just the you're just doing attack wing stuff at its purest, and it was really fun. Probably more fun than the other ones. So it's kind of cool that I don't know how many more missions there are in front of us. Maybe more than 10, I guess, maybe 20, taking the three games together.
yeah, I think it's 20 total missions.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
because
great to have that
it's
all
six,
there.
7, and 7. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's 20. I have a math degree. I is smart.
Yeah, that was some good skills there.
Uh,
And we also played online. We normally do these competitive tournaments through Fremont, but there was one month about a year ago where we decided let's instead of being competitive, let's try and cooperate, see how that goes. So we did do a month of playing. It was just the first half of Alliance One, but that was fun, and that was big groups too. I think we maybe had 5 people at the largest game I was part of, and it's just a different dynamic.
yeah,
It's the same people. You're still playing Attack Wing, but you can sort of more openly collaborate and
yeah,
suggest things. And it's kind of cool that ultimately it's still you setting your dial. So even if everyone's saying do this, you can still do what you think is right. And it was fun. It was fun. We only did it once, but I would love to do that some more. It's kind of an
I
organizational challenge with people around the world. I
I'd kind
really
of
like.
like to, once box three's out, go back and do an alliance campaign from the start. Let people take whatever faction they want, because
Mm-hmm.
then you've got the three options, and just go through it the whole way with whatever group size you can get a hold of.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really fun. I don't know how it would work logistically if like the groups change from time to time. I guess you just have some rule for
Yeah,
how do you handle when someone sits out a session because it is hard to get everyone together. But
right.
man, that sounds fun. That's a lot of missions and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean it's 20 missions. It's a commitment. And those, if you had 6 players, that's not going to be short. I know that
Sure.
from experience. My Friday nights are 3 hours typically for a 4 ship mission.
Oh wow, that
Uh,
sounds fun.
it is. I will say playing Alliance has given me a new appreciation for the game, and two, just a different spark. Attack Wing was kind of fading. I did
Mm,
my top 100 games list last fall, and it had dropped down. I think it was close to number 10.
mm.
It had been number 2 for a long, long time.
What
But
was number one?
Cosmic Encounter.
Cosmic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a.
The other thing I put up on the channel. But yeah, and my buddy gives me gives me a lot of flack because it's like, well, you don't do a Cosmic Encounter YouTube channel, you do a Star Trek channel. So how can Cosmic be your number one game when you spend this much time? And I'm like, you know what? Favorites are favorites.
Yeah, doesn't have to make sense.
No, I mean you can love a game, you can spend all kinds of time with it. Doesn't mean it's your absolute favorite. I can appreciate it, but and hey, I as I told people, just because something dropped down to number 10 doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of games out there. It's still ahead of on your list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, just it just meant I hadn't physically touched my collection in 2 3 years. That was the big issue for me. It was like, well, what do you do? Uh,
yeah. It's funny because when I saw how Alliance worked, and it's like there's this AI that rolls dice, and it moves based on where you are now rather than everyone setting their dial at the same time. I was like, wow, is that really attack wing anymore if it's not everyone setting their dial at once? And it's different. It's not the same as another person trying that you're trying to outguess, but it really works. It really plays well. Like this last game with my friend, he got this warp core breach and he was trying to juggle all these things like should I repair it because it was the end of the game and we were fleeing over the edge, but it was going to take us a few turns. So it was like there was the probability aspect, like okay, what's the chance of rolling a crit? Or if I repair it, then I can only move one, so it'll be more times trying to get away. And it's just sort of more elemental. It's not like you're being buried in cards or combos anymore. It's
Yeah.
just sort of the sort of like the crucible of just burning it down to just basic attack wing, and it still works. It doesn't need all the fluff on top of all the cards and the combos. It was fun. It's different.
It is very different. I think that's you said something that struck a chord. It's stripped it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Where for me, I appreciate every single card I get to add or change into my ship.
Hmm.
It really feels like every upgrade is there for a specific reason. I'm not just piling stuff on to have it. I'm putting it
Mm-hmm.
there so that
Mm-hmm.
I have it when I need it or that I can make use of it every single time. I'm up to the point now I have commander and operations officer. Those ships or those crew are there so that I can have battle stations and evade. Why? Because I'm typically at the forefront taking attacks. If I evade the attacks or I don't get shot, then that evade's there to repair my shields because I've been shot in previous rounds. Like everything's a piece of the puzzle that makes my ship work so that it can survive those 8,
Mm-hmm.
9, 10, 11
Mm-hmm.
rounds to accomplish the mission.
Yeah, I think it sort of gives your ship more character because every single card was well thought out, and often you're just running that one ship. And like we did the first mission and died, and then the second mission he was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now. I need more flexibility in my moving." So he brought helmsman, and
Right.
then it was kind of like a really different ship, but it still had its character. Like he had all these things to figure out. Am I doing a red maneuver? Then I can't re-enable helmsman. When do I do helmsman? Have I switched over to the mode of I'm not even worrying about combat? I'm just going to go fast and then re-enable helmsman and go fast and
Yeah.
re-enable helmsman. So I don't know if it was like that way at the start of the game, 2013 or whatever, when there weren't as many things. I guess there was still the whole starter set, and I guess they must have jumped right in on Wave Zero.
Yeah, Wave Zero
As soon
came
as
out at the
I don't
same
even know I
time.
wasn't there.
Yeah. So, well, here, I don't think I've shared this on camera. So I jumped in, and the very first game of Attack Wing I ever played, I bought the starter set, and I think I bought no, that was actually it. I bought the starter set going into the tournament, and
Oh wow!
there were four of us to play in that tournament
At a game store
at
or
a game
something.
store. It was the game store in Hillmar that has closed since, but so it was the store owner and myself, and then another gentleman and his young teenage son.
Oh, neat.
I think he was preteen at that point.
Uh huh.
So the game store owner said, "Okay, you do, you know, you guys, you each can have a Creighton, the prize ship, and you can run it in this event or not. Don't care." And so I had come from an X-wing background, so I knew the basics, which is why the store owner had actually invited me. He said, "Hey, we're doing this. I know you like Star Trek. I know you like X-wing. Come check this out. Just see if you like it." Uh, and so he ran a deal on the starter set. So that's why I got the starter. So I didn't buy any expansions going in. I didn't know anything. I made so many mistakes in that
Sure.
initial fleet construction. I ran the Creighton instead of the Vorcha, Riker instead of Picard on the Enterprise. You know, all the mistakes you're going to make.
Sure.
I still did okay in the tournament because I could fly. But even at that point, you still were running a captain, a few upgrades. Um, I guess to some extent it was a little bit more like that. Everything kind of had a purpose. You didn't have quite as many crazy combos because there weren't the discounters and there
Right.
weren't a lot of slot adders. Actually, I don't think there were any slot adders in the beginning. I think the first slot adder was Styles with the Excelsior.
Oh, I was going to say Bologna. I remember that was when those
Yeah, and then
rulings came out
Balana
about
was a
those slots.
big deal when
She looks so
Voyager came
expensive
out.
now, but I guess she was a big deal then.
She was
Yeah.
a big deal because you got a weapon and a tech upgrade.
Right. Right.
And gosh, I remember going, okay, is this the time? Is this where I want this extra weapon and tech? And that was a legit choice for several months, probably a year.
I don't think I've seen her run. I can't even tell the last time it
No,
was. She's a little pointless now, but
no,
that's
because now
fun.
you have
That's fun
cargo
how it was a
hold
big
and
thing.
repurpose cargo
Yeah, yeah,
hold,
that's
and
right.
yeah,
Repurpose, right?
I mean, there's so many better ways, but that's actually how I feel about most of Voyager's crew and upgrades.
Yeah,
There's just so many better
yeah. Sad
ways.
to say, right?
Seven of Nine's held her place, but
When we're talking about the simpler game, one of our last in-person events at Fremont was that one called All Our Yesterdays, where we replayed certain big historical attack wing matches from
yeah,
history. And I know one of the matchups was from Joseph and Will, I think, in like a world semifinal, or maybe it was nationals, where it was just two Borg spheres against two bioships with very little stuff
yep.
because they were so expensive. Maybe it was 3 on 3, I can't remember, but it had that feel to it, like just stripped down attack wing. It's just the ships and pretty straightforward tactics for success. And I don't think it felt too simple. I mean, obviously these are world class players, and so there's a lot of skill involved. But it does seem like somehow a different game back then,
I think that
a
was
different
also 100
experience at
point
least.
limit,
Okay, right.
uh, which was a very different game. And then we went, yeah, so it was 100 for a long time. Then it got up to 120, but it was with a 30-point booster. Those
Oh, okay, which you had to
collective,
use.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
collective, and then the resistance is futile boosters.
So you're still only building 90
Yeah,
points worth of stuff from your planning. Yeah.
uh, that was that was
Yeah, as you were
weird.
talking about your first game, I was trying to remember my first game. I think my very first game I played with my son at a trailer park in Idaho. We had we bought the starter set and a few expansions, and we just did one ship against one ship. I had the Valdor, and he had the Scimitar, and I thought I was going to do this really cool thing because I had Varel, and so I was going to get to attack him when he didn't attack me, and I had this great plan, and ultimately he beat me, and the reason he beat me is I was looking at the ships and I was wrong about which way the scimitar was facing. I thought it
Oh,
was facing away from me, but it was actually facing toward me, so my tactics totally fell apart. I don't know. I guess it's one of those ships that it's hard to tell which way is forward. You wouldn't think so, but never quite sure whether are those things vents pointing backwards or are those actually the turrets of their guns.
okay. Yeah, it's yeah, I remember early on. I had a game. I did a 3-player game, one versus one versus one. You know,
Hmm.
one ship each, and I think I flew a Valdor with Mirok, which is not a bad captain one. You know, for one ship.
Hmm.
do a green repair. Uh,
Okay, right.
and somebody had, I forget what the other players flew, but it was fun just flying a ship around and seeing what happens. It's like there is something elegant and simple in one ship attack wing. Stuff doesn't die super quickly, especially if you throw a planet and some obstacles in there. There is a maneuver game there.
Yeah, I sometimes see people say, how should I do my very first game? Should I do 1v1? And sometimes the advice I see is that the 1v1 can get sort of stuck in a chase pattern or something
It
where
can.
you're kind of in a cycle. I remember a super long game I played with my son. I think one of us had the something that needed a target lock combo, and the other person had monotanium plating, and so the target locks never happened, and we spent our whole hour that night just chasing each other around with the 1v1. So there is something to be said for at least the two. So you have to like think about what order should my ships move in and the dials, but yeah, you don't want to overwhelm new players. So it's a tough choice.
Yeah. And I think at this point you could say, okay, play like 50 points and build it how you want.
Yeah, yeah.
You could do two ships, you can do one ship. I wouldn't do more than two ships. I'd just say, uh, have a little fun with it. Throw some captains on there so you actually get some abilities. Throw an upgrade or two on and have a little fun.
Even when you do two ships, it's incredible how often your two ships collide. You wouldn't think that would happen, but especially when you're new.
Ugh.
It's so hard to visualize them.
Or when you've been playing for 10 years,
Yeah,
they
yeah, good point.
still
It does still
collide.
happen. Okay.
Oh.
I'm not calling you out in particular,
Oh
but
no, no, feel free. Feel free.
okay.
I call myself out. I'm like, "Oh yeah, 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 it'll be perfectly fine. We'll do two banks and nothing will everything crashed."
Ooh, ooh.
And
That's what I love about the Weapon Zero is it can land on its own ship and just slide back a little bit and still gets its action because it's a big base ship.
you,
Very forgiving.
okay, so you are like a I think you might be Weapon Zero's biggest fan.
Ooh, wow, that could be. Maybe it's loudest. It's loudest advocate.
It's loudest
I agree with
advocate.
that.
You are also a big proponent of malts.
Yep, that's true.
I think you are president of the malts fan club.
Yeah, the House of Malts,
The
right?
House of Malts. Sorry, forgive me.
That's okay.
I
Don't
dare
get that
not
one wrong.
insult the House of Malts.
Right? Got to observe the proper forms there.
Yes. So okay, I know we all have our fandoms, our little
Mhm.
quirks, but how did these two start for you? What hooked you? What got you into those two?
Well, there's definitely a type of fleet that I do with this, where I try and make the weapon zero as powerful as possible, and then I try to add on to that once I've done that by putting stuff on it with a shuttlecraft and or moving crew onto it using Malta's ability. I don't know. I guess it was. Uh, I just really like the idea of making one ship as powerful as possible. When you attack somebody, what if they're rolling defense dice and they kind of tamp down your attack? So instead, you max out the dice and you bring the crew who gives lots of scans and takes away the defense dice. I don't know. I definitely don't go for lots of ships. I often go for one ship that's really loaded up, and what's left is maybe a shuttlecraft still aboard the Weapon Zero and some Burrell or something that no longer has anything on it except Cal Hudson or something. So it goes and flies in a corner. So I guess I would say I'm not always that successful with it, but it is fun to take this general idea of, well, let's make one ship as strong as possible and see where I can go with that. So I would say I probably go overboard with that to my competitive detriment.
Mm.
But man, it's fun.
See, if you're having fun, I don't think it's wrong.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I
I
definitely am. I was bringing a ship like that to those regionals that got canceled 3 years ago. So it's definitely an idea that has been with me a long time. I don't even remember when it started. Although I
okay,
think it was probably a scimitar back then.
probably. Uh,
Yeah.
I I'm reminded of builds from long ago before the 50 point limit
Oh, okay. That would have been fun.
was imposed, and
Right.
I remember showing up to a tournament, and I think this was under 100 point rule, and there's no ship minimums, right? So I show up with a tactical cube,
That's
a 100 point
it.
tactical cube, with uh, it was either Picard or Ducat because you needed a battle station. And I in the last round, my opponent also had a 100 point tactical cube
Oh wow, that sounds fun.
with as many, and both of us had as many ablative hull armors as you could get, right? Because they're not unique, they're not ship unique. So it was just a race to see who could roll dice better. Because if I have a shot on you, you have a shot on me, and that's how this was going to go. And it
I
was
see.
just a
Right.
dice off.
Was it
And
fun? Did it feel like Attack Wing?
no, it did not feel like attack wing. It felt like it just felt like a dice game. It was fun. It was definitely fun. If I had to build it over again, I would make changes because I think I ran like a Gorn pilot for some reason. Don't ask why. I don't know. Probably because he fit.
It's funny to think of the tactical cube being appealing. You don't see anyone really do stuff with it. I guess it's the 50 point rule that kind of
It's the 50 point
shut it
rule.
down. Yeah.
I think the notion was okay. I think this was under Tholian Web. So it might have been Arena. It was one of the two. So maybe Gorn Pilot was there to drop off on the planet. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the idea was we might have been playing Faction Pure or Penalty Pure at the time. So I think I had an independent flagship on
Oh,
the
okay.
tactical cube, so that's why I needed an independent crew. And there wasn't a lot of independent crew out at the
Sure.
time.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. A lot more flexibility these days.
Oh,
That's
much
nice.
more. As I'm resorting my collection, much more independent than there used to be. Not so much, yeah, not so much back then. It was kind of like the Gorn pack and Khan, the Reliant Khan stuff, and that was about
Mhm.
it. Oh, Tholians. Can't forget Tholians.
We've done our part to try and bring Tholians back into the game, but man, is it hard.
I I want more Tholians. Okay, so I'm a I'm a book fan. The beta canon, the
Hmm.
like Riker's adventures on Titan, and the continued adventures of the Enterprise E with Picard, and that sort of thing. And in those books, there's a new rival to the Federation, the Typhon Pact, made up of part of the Romulan Star Empire, because the Romulans split. So part of their empire joins forces with the Breen, the Gorn, the Tholians, and the Kinshea. I can never say that right, but they're an enemy of the Klingon Empire.
Never heard of them. Okay.
Yeah, I think they showed up in one episode of the animated series. They're kind of like energy beings, from what I recall. Anyway, but I have dreams, custom dreams that the Typhon Pact would be a thing, and thus you get Tholians. and more Breen and more Gorn.
That would
Because
be fun.
while
I
Strange
would
New
love that.
Worlds is giving us more Gorn, I'd love to see 24th, 25th century Gorn.
I do feel like we managed to bring Tholians back a little bit in the Earth Romulan War event that we ran a
Oh
couple
yeah,
months
yeah, yeah. I
ago.
played in that event. That was
I don't
oh,
know if
that
you played
was.
the Tholian game.
I did play the Tholian game. That was a pain. I flew that so poorly.
We thought, or I guess I had hoped that with our ship recosting, we put the generic Tholian down to a 7 cost and thought that maybe that would bring them back into the game. But they have so few slots that it still doesn't work to actually run Tholians as hard as I tried. But in this event, there was neutral Tholians, 4 of them out on the board, and you could each control 2 and make them build a web, and you made people bring them, and there was no opportunity cost of some other thing that was better than Tholians, but you still got the fun of the web and the zapping and the avoiding. Um, I'm pretty pleased with that event. I didn't get to play it in the event, but I did play it with Dre a couple weeks ago, and that was fun.
that
Wow.
that mission felt thematic. That I will say that was
Right.
the best instance I've had of the Tholians felt like they were closing in on me.
Yeah.
But
Right.
unlike Tholian Web, the OP event, where the board is getting smaller, and I'm like, if I don't fly right, I'm dead. This felt
Mm.
like if I don't fly right, I'm gonna get hurt. But the Tholians are just there being a nuisance.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That is thematic. You're right.
This one felt like the Tholians are just there minding their own business, and we had a battle break out, and they're kind
Hmm.
of like,
Hmm.
guys, we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, we have things to do.
We got things to do. If you want to have your fight here, feel free. But we got things to do, and you're going to be in our way. So have fun. And they do. And they just do their stuff. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
It wouldn't work. We had to do a lot of extra rulings to make Tholians understandable in the modern game. We had to do like 8 or 10 different rulings that we created about how does it work with the actions and the triangles and the one straights, and
I
I'm I'm sure life was simpler back when Tholians came out. Maybe it was even ambiguous back then. I don't know.
it's just
I wouldn't-
it's not nice. And I feel like, and I'll probably get into this whenever I do my re-review of Tholians, but Tholians just need a way to drop that web automatically.
Yeah, right.
Because
Like the name ship does. Oh, or it still has to be in a free action though, so you don't get to do it automatically. Yeah, you're right.
but yeah,
Automatic
yeah, as a free
end phase
action.
or something. Yeah,
And that's what
something.
every Tholian ship should just get to do. Just as a free action, drop the web, be done. And even if you don't do a one straight,
Yeah, because now you've left a gap. Right.
sure, but I guess even if you tie it to a one straight, fine. But yeah, I
There's like
just
extra maneuvers now, and can you Romulan pilot and then do your free thing, or some
yeah,
ships that get 2 moves. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know that I care. Well, because okay, Tholians can do a two, and then a one and start a new web.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the
Oh, I see. That's true. It's not connected to the mothership.
right? It doesn't have to be one continuous web. They
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have to
and it's
exist.
fun. It's tantalizing. Like, could I actually get through that gap? I think I could, and it doesn't always work so great.
Yeah. Uh, no, it's just like I want to like Tholians. I've enjoyed Tholians, but yeah, they just I've never liked Tholians in attack wing. They just don't have enough to pull them off.
Yeah,
Because they're generics. The web card is too expensive. I think that's really what it boils down to.
hmm hmm
It's like just the ability to lay a web should be embedded in the ship.
It's also challenging that they start on their edge of the board, and so great, you have this cool web they're building, but it's not around anyone or amidst anyone. So that's also a challenge to make that part work, even if you've invested in all the goodies,
Right, and attack wing games
multi
aren't
ships.
long enough.
Yeah, yeah,
And even if you set two ships off to make a V, well, great, you've made a border. Congratulations.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. So in that event, we you can start in the middle square, and that was nice. There's strategy in how you do it, and they're in the midst more. I'm pretty happy with that. That was fun. I'll have to play it a few more times, but the one time I played, it was like, wow, that was fun.
Yeah,
In the race to get around the Tholians doing their one straights, yeah,
I
and they definitely had casualties.
oh, I was one of them. I I was definitely one. I had these pipe dreams to, go back and play the entire Earth Romulan War with someone. I don't, I'm not even
Yeah,
picky who. Just one person and say, okay, one of us is playing Earth, one of us is playing Romulan, and we're just gonna go. We're just gonna have this out, play 6 missions. It was 6, I think, and,
yeah.
and just have fun with it, and run it almost like a campaign like I did in the old days, where if a ship dies, it's dead.
Oh, oh, it's gone.
Every unique card on it is lost for the campaign. Bring something else in.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So you don't. It's not like you've lost points.
It's not
You
like you've
get to
lost
refresh up
points.
to the. Yeah. Okay.
Well, okay.
In the sense of build points, I don't mean losing the game, but
No,
do you
it's
have to
not
bring a
like you've
smaller
lost
fleet
build
next time?
points, but it's if Picard was on that ship, Picard
Yeah,
is
and
dead,
dies.
and all Jean Luc Picards are dead.
Mm,
So you
so not just
cannot
that one.
bring a
Yeah.
new Jean Luc Picard.
That sounds fun. I see. I've never quite thought of that way.
So okay, years ago, I did I kind of blended Attack Wing into an RPG of my own storyline. I called it Task
Hmm.
Force Bravo, and basically I said, okay, as you go through these missions to accomplish certain objectives, you can discover people, captains, crew. You'll have enemies spawn on the board, maybe in completely random spots because they were hiding behind an asteroid. And if you didn't scan for them, well, they can just
Oops.
show up. That sort of thing. And it was a continued story. And if a ship was destroyed, like a Romulan ship, the Khazara, pilot or captained by Torith, well, now the Khazara and Torith are dead. You can never bring them back. Period. And I think that's just maybe there's maybe there's an audience for that. I don't know.
I guess you could do that in Alliance, couldn't you? I mean,
You
even though they're
could.
not unique, you could say this. Your commander just died, so commanders are off the table now.
You
That'd be
could.
kind of fun. Use them at the right time instead of just because it's the best card.
Yeah. That would be tough. I don't know that I'd enjoy that. Only from the standpoint of once you have the points, then it's like your slots are more of the restricting factor.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you've invested 8 points into crew and you only have 2 crew slots, how are you going to make those crew slots work? So I don't know. I might have to toy
Yeah.
around with
Hmm.
a campaign, an attack wing campaign that's not alliance driven, but it's like it's a GM with player or players. Because that's all
Yeah,
I did.
Robert and I played a Spelljammer campaign for a few sessions with Joseph as the DM or GM or whatever you call it, and it was Spelljammer. But then at the end, we constructed this ship and we had to get off this planet, and we did a little attack wing session of us trying to get away from ships that were coming at us, and we had to work together to do the instead of one person just saying my ship does this, now I take this action. We had to kind of different people give commands,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was it was interesting to watch Robert maneuver. And I was like, "Ooh, I don't think that's a good idea." And I even had to override him a couple times because I had been made the captain. But that was fun. That was I could see it. I could see it working as I don't know if it's the whole game or just a component to the RPG, but I've definitely heard of other people doing that. I think Sam might be doing that too with some of the um, RPGs he runs. He was at least talking about doing it in some Attack Wing stuff because he already does some of it over Tabletop Simulator. So it's kind of an obvious,
Crossover.
we're together.
Yeah.
Just switch over and do this now in the next 10 seconds, and woo, there we are.
Yeah. I had plans in my Star Trek RPG to run ship combat through Attack Wing. No, I mean every system has its pros and cons, right? And I don't think anyone's ever going to argue that Attack Wing's a perfect system,
Yeah,
but it's a fairly simple system for combat. That and I never really loved Modifius's ship combat.
I see. Yeah.
I loved their character design. I loved their exploration system. I loved their ground combat system. I loved so much about it. Ship combat just felt very drawn out because like every character on the bridge got an action. And so it's like, okay, the captain orders Helm to do this thing. Helm plots the course and sets engage. The weapons officer targets the enemy. Oh, you can't fire unless you spend. I'm just like, okay, I get what you all want to do. Does anybody want to do anything weird?
Otherwise, let's just speed this up a little bit. Yeah.
Right, and that's why I'm kind of like, I can just do this in Attack Wing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not broken.
I
Why
mean,
try and fix it to something else?
there's
Yeah.
moments, but
That's true. That's true. I probably shouldn't have said that it's not broken.
uh, no, it's fine. It's I think anyone still watching at this point understands Attack Wing uh, can be broken fairly easily. Just run seven Romulan ships, all with Romulan cloaking device.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. That was another thing that was fun about the Earth Romulan War was because you're just building the one fleet and you don't know which scenario you're going to get. There were some scenarios that could be broken, but just that one scenario would like that one where you had to go gather dilithium and then run back to your planet. I realized, ooh, people could just bring a bunch of D7s with Romulan pilot and cloaking device and just run up there, take all the tokens, and then run and possibly break this scenario. That one might have still been okay because you still have to get back home and people can chase you. I don't know. That one was fun too. I think you played that one as well, right?
I did.
The you were the only one to win it ever. I think
I think
all the other ones were draws.
yeah, and it so I think I played Dan in that
Right. That's
scenario
right. Real early on. Yeah.
real early. I think I was the first mission. I think we were the first ones period.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
And yeah, he just went trying to kill me rather than get his own dilithium.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he had gone and gotten his own dilithium, I didn't have the combat to mess with him. So
Oh,
my
okay.
plan was just get dilithium and get
Win
out.
the race. Yeah.
Win the
Yeah.
race because I had enough speed with my ships, but I didn't have enough combat.
Yeah, yeah. So that was fun about the fleet building for that too. Is you're not just optimizing your combat. You can bring some fast ships, or I don't know, a lot of ships. I don't quite remember what your fleet was. I guess it was a
I
it
had
was a Romulan fleet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had Twilight's Wrath with Laris and
Oh, okay. So
Cloaking
like a
Device.
maneuverability too. Yeah.
And I don't remember what else. but I know I had that much.
I think you had a scimitar, didn't you, or a reman? Yeah, I think you had a Shinzon 10 skill, something or other.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And the
Shinzon.
other thing that was funny with that event was when a ship died, it turned into an obstacle. And that was not something I was ready for the first time.
Oh,
I was like plowing through this fleet, trying to take it out and then turn around and come back. And then all of a sudden I killed one of the ships and there was this big old obstacle right in my way. So I was not going to cloak and echo or whatever because
okay.
the way was no longer clear. That was fun. That was a good.
Yeah, it's
Didn't realize it would change it so much, but it did.
that does change things. Yeah, it was. I had fun with that. I was looking back through Discord messages and I saw that stuff come up. I'm like, those were uh, fun missions, fun times, good people.
That's been another neat thing about the Discord is we can like you said at the start, you can use people for the things they like to do, even if they don't have to fully engage. Like Kipperon over here in Scotland, he doesn't really compete, but man, he was great at developing the scenarios
Yeah.
and doing the artwork for the scenarios,
Oh
the
yeah.
narrative we had, and that's fun because people can still engage and contribute heavily to the community. He's the one who built the flagship cards in TTS to look just like the real cards, and the ship snaps on there when you drop on it. So sort of these niche contributions, but when we have the whole community like this, it really works
Yeah.
to have people contribute their own way.
Everyone has their little gifts and talents
Yeah,
that just help it all
definitely.
come together. It's a great thing. It's something I see at school. Being a teacher, I'm like, I might be a good math teacher. I don't know. Jury's out on that.
Yeah, yeah, we're not so sure. I think you probably are.
But I have my own style, and my style works for some people, doesn't work for other people, and but I tell my students, I say, look, you all have gifts and talents. You're good at certain things. You're not good at certain things. Other people in this room are good at the same things you're good at, and other people are good at the things you're not good at. And that just brings us all together, and that's why we all work together.
Hmm.
It's
Takes a
not
village.
about
Yeah,
yeah, it's never about, oh, I'm the best at everything, period. That's not how it works.
yeah,
And if you try to do everything by yourself, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
probably true.
Yeah, it's why I try to have other people on the channel and have guests and talk to people. That's what's fun. Is- Again, if I
Yeah,
try to
yeah, the
produce
connections.
content every day for everything and talk about attack wing every single day, it's not any fun.
The viewers are going to be like, "Hey, it's you again. I just saw
Yeah.
you."
And I just say, hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Okay.
Steal from Taylor. It's all good.
Right, right.
Y'all steal from the greats. Um, okay, so I will. I'll ask you some of the same questions I've asked other people because I
Okay.
think this is the fun part of it. If you were in the Star Trek world, which Enterprise captain would you want to serve under? You have many Enterprise captains now. You have a new one. Actually, you have a new two because of Picard.
I think I would. I think I would go. Let's see. I got to think of all of them. Does the animated Enterprise count?
Sure.
I think I would probably want to serve under TNG Picard.
Okay.
Um, Archer, I feel like he just did everything. He took on everything himself. I would probably never get to do anything because Archer would be out being the hero. And Kirk's a little too crazy and risky, but I would have the most confidence in Picard. He really seemed like a good leader, and I kind of got the most sense of sort of community of the crew under him.
Mm.
That he was really somehow he really built a team, even though he was sort of standoffish. It really worked. So I think I'd like to work under Picard. That would be nice.
Okay. No, it's
Probably
a good
forgot
pick.
about Sonas.
I respect it. Um, to turn things to attack wing,
Okay.
you have the imaginary hat of or the imaginary position of you are in charge of whiz kids for a day. You get to publish one ship for attack wing. What ship gets published?
I think I would pick the space dinosaurs from Voyager. I loved that episode where they were kind of shadowing Voyager. Are they called the Vorn? The Vaughn? Vorn? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do know who
The
you're
super.
talking about. I let's see if I can.
I love that
The Vorn
episode
Vorn sounds right, but
because there's also a Klingon ship. So I.
called the IKS Vorn, yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess. Yeah, I always wished there was something about them. I like the idea of space dinosaurs. Um, they might be a little too powerful because they seem to be way more advanced than the Federation.
Voth.
I don't know how they trapped that one researcher on the ship.
Yeah, it's the Voth.
Oh, Voth. Okay, there you go.
Voth.
Not the Vorn. That's the one. So a little more Delta Quadrant stuff. That would be nice. We don't need more Federation ships. I've got too many Federation ships as it is. I guess the Enterprise C is a common. Do you get people answering that one?
I used to. Now I think more of the responses have gone to like Titan or
Mm,
Cerritos. A lot of
yeah,
people want
yeah.
to see the Cerritos. Uh, Actually, the
That's a
last
nice one.
time it was the Cerritos because they said I don't want anything more powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't need to get into like all the crazy stuff. I just want kind of the normal workhorse, but I want to see what interesting things can be done between it.
Right.
You know, it's probably not some new original stat line. It's probably not even some new original dial. It's
I should
well,
have a readier answer to this. I'm not sure.
no, Voth would be very interesting. It would give Independent a powerhouse ship
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
because they don't. They have they have Gorn, but they don't have like a Gorn heavy cruiser.
Hmm.
I have a
What is the
feeling
biggest? The Vidian is a nice big model,
it
but I don't know if
is.
it's a very good big ship.
Uh, yeah, I think. Let me see. Independent as sorted by hull.
I got one. Oh, independent or do we count Zindi in there?
Yeah,
There is a one Zindi ship I really like. That's nice and big.
I mean it's Weapon Zero. You also have the abandoned space station.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That
Okay.
is an independent frame. You have the Soong. That's technically independent. I, I guess all of the Zindi aquatic cruiser also technically independent.
The Soong was funny. This latest event we've done, the Dreadnought one, we made these booster ships, and uh, we were pre-packaging them in bags so that people could just get the bag. And the independent captain that goes with the Soong is some random human person, and he just didn't look like someone who would be on the Soong. So we made a custom card of the Borg with from the planet on descent with a big blue sky behind
Okay.
them.
I'm
That's
like
that the blue sky Borg captain.
I thought there was a independent drone.
Oh, maybe just in tabletop.
Oh,
But
that's
you're
probably
right.
why.
There may actually be a card. Oh, that came on the Zoom. That's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it independent or is it dual faction? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I think it might.
Okay, I was looking through
That's
in
always confusing.
all the one skill captains. There's a mirror one skill generic Borg drone. No drone
Is it
tokens.
really?
Yeah, no drone tokens. Skill 1, and it just says drone, but it's mirror and mirror only.
So not a drone token, but it is skill one,
Skill
and it's
1,
free.
and it just
That's weird.
says drone, but mirror faction.
If you buy there is a zero cost board that nevertheless has a drone token, is that right? I think the generics
Uh,
have one. Can't remember.
Maybe. Hold
Yeah.
on.
Those generics are weird.
Let's see.
Because most of the generic cap or the null captains are completely useless, but that one I
Yes.
think maybe at least has a token to
Yes,
do
there is
something
a
with.
zero cost drone that you place one drone token on it.
Okay.
And there's also a Borg mirror that does the same thing. So there's a Borg and a mirror
Oh,
that'll do
okay.
that.
That must be the assimilation target.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's from the Borg faction pack. I think it's from the
Yeah.
ATP Grand Prize.
I think by then they weren't doing those cards anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
Although,
there's a
did you hear
few.
that Josh didn't know that when he was making Alliance, and so Alliance 2 actually has a Vorta generic captain in it because he thought he was still supposed to put those in there. So that's the only Vorta generic captain we get because of that. There wasn't one previously in Attack Wing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, I support it.
I mean, see, this is where I wish there were more sub factions. Like Cardassian should be a sub faction.
Yeah, yeah.
Breen should be a sub faction. Gorn and Dorian. Basically, all the things that call out a specific faction for a card, a talent, all of that, they should be a faction, but they could be dual independent or in Dominion Cardassian, fine.
Mm,
Um,
right, right. I think they were. There was talk that they were heading that way, although all these cards hadn't been printed that way that it exist in the game. So
no,
that would be hard.
I think if anything, what I've heard is that the talk is to get rid of sub factions. They're going to spin everything off to their own.
You know, it's funny. I was reading these books. I'm reading this DS9, the 4 book series called Mission Gamma.
Okay.
Have you read this?
I
Yeah,
haven't,
and
but
the
I've heard of it. Yeah.
oh, they're really good. The first book was fantastic. I'm in the second book and it was dragging a little bit. But it's funny because they're talking about, oh, is Bajor going to join the Federation or not? And I was thinking, wait a second, Vulcan is part of the Federation, Bajoran is part of the Federation. I had completely forgotten that they decided not to join the Federation in the TV show
In the TV show, yeah.
because Attack Wing has them as a sub faction to Federation.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why that happened. I don't know. I guess it was a balance thing.
I do think, yeah, as far as Attack Wing is concerned, uh, I truly have no idea. I think it's because the Acorum came out as that prize ship in Dominion War OP6, and they said, "Oh, we'll make it Bajoran."
Yeah.
Yeah, great, love it. Uh, I don't know. I truly I don't know. And that was back before you had sub factions, so bringing anything over was penalties, and I
Yeah, that's not a lot of choice, is there?
no, no Bajorans desperately need a faction pack, or even half of a faction pack.
Yeah, that's true. It's been forever, hasn't it?
Yeah,
There's not a lot of Bajoran that gets run. That Kira captain and not much else. Sometimes I run
Tora
more than
Zial,
meets the eye. Oh yeah, okay.
because she's dual.
Technically
She's
counts.
Dominion
Right,
Bajoran.
right.
But don't isn't she banned in Fremont?
uh no, actually we thought she was gonna be some terrible thing for the game, but people haven't really bothered running her, and when we did run her, she hasn't really been that David W. had this fleet with cloning facilities all over the place, so you could copy Torres EL and then use it. And and then she's still in your fleet because you're getting these copies of her, despite her supposedly being this card that could never get used more than once. But even then, it didn't really. The range one thing makes her not overpowered. You can
Yeah.
still attack her from outside of range, and
I don't know. I was looking at her again. It's part of that whole resorting thing, and I was like, yeah, she's good, pricey, good, but
she's also just about the only card other than interface generator that's an attack cancel where you can wait and see, do I really need to cancel this attack? Because you use it in the compare results step rather than right away before dice are rolled. So that's also pretty nice.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. She doesn't get as much. I remember Tucker and Joseph when that came out, they were convinced that's breaking the game. This is just ridiculous, but maybe not. Maybe not so much.
There's been a few things a lot of us have overreacted to.
Yeah.
I was reminded of my hidden explosives rant, and I said, yeah, I know, but I'm not
Did
removing
you?
the video because people need to see me at my worst.
It's part of the story. Yeah. Have you noticed the new thing about hidden explosives that Admiral Shinzon now can remove time tokens from an existing weapon that has time tokens on it. So rather than something that's preventing time tokens from being placed, it can actually do it mid game. So if you run hidden explosives and then use Shinzon to remove it, you could trigger it right away.
Oh, lovely,
I haven't heard of anyone doing this, but I did notice it.
lovely. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to get you worried about hidden explosives again. That is
No, no.
that's dead and done, done and dusted.
I,
Let's go
I,
crazy.
I
That was
don't.
quite the video, though.
No, I don't ever think that was.
It was more about whether you could defend against it.
Well, see the old issue is with Balana's codes, and boy,
Right.
that's a card nobody runs, and I don't
True.
I don't understand why, but I probably need to
Too
make that
expensive now.
that list is cards nobody runs and I don't understand why.
Right. That's a good one. You're right. Top 10 of those.
But at least Shinzon has to do it as an action, and so it's coming.
The timing of it. Yeah.
And if Shinzon's doing it as an action, or another ship's doing it as an action,
Because it's a fleet action. Yeah.
it's a fleet action. You're not, well, specifically the ship that has hidden explosives on it, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Because it's on your ship. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's right.
so that ship has to do it. Um, but there's still, I still think there's ways to play counter to it now. I feel like you can Koth,
Oh, I see. Because it's mid game, you can do stuff. Yeah, that's right.
you can Gen Cisco, you can yeah, I feel like there's enough counterplay once it's into the game. I mean, can you always
I see.
set up where you've got Shinzon and the hidden explosive ship, or the hidden explosives is on Shinzon, and just set them up in a little corner of the map and put the rest of the fleet somewhere? Yeah, sure. But then I think you're just slow playing and you're hurting the rest of your fleet. So I I don't know. It's three unmodified dice.
Yeah.
I guess you target a lead Burrell, and but any Burrell worth its salt now is going to have reinforced hull. So are
No, that's a. You have to have four hole to use the card. I think.
you're
I
right.
hope. I
You're
hope.
right. Yeah, you do.
That's quite a new card. Yeah,
You do.
but you could have a evade token maybe. I don't know how that works, but yeah.
You do have to have four or more hull, but it. Sorry, I keep thinking you can put it on anything, and I feel like you should be able to, but
A flagship barrel, I think we would allow it.
yeah, but then you're just not going to
Um,
target that ship with hidden
yeah, that's true.
explosives.
That's
You're
true.
going to target something else, and I
On that topic of why doesn't anyone run these cards anymore, I've also enjoyed the booster ships we made recently because they're all from old retail ships. And man, there's a lot of cards out there that never get played. And so it's fun to bring them back into the game a little bit,
yeah.
even without having to recost them. So it'd be nice to access the rest of the game. And I wonder what fraction of the game actually gets used. The cards actually get run. These it's I guess it's more than 10%, but
Not
it's
much.
some small
My
some
guess
small
was
number.
between 10 and 15%.
Yeah, yeah,
That unless you have really creative thinky builders, then you're maybe up to 20-25%. I still look at it. It's okay. I made my spoilers because this will come out before. Uh, I'm looking at top 10 Federation captains.
okay.
That list is harder to make than you would think.
Because there's so many
No, there's so
captains.
few.
Oh,
Like
wow.
top tier Fed captains. There's not that many.
Hmm.
I struggled to get. I got to 11 viable, really good captains.
Wow, that's interesting. I would have thought there were all kinds of them,
It's
but
not
I
as
haven't thought about it much.
it's
Hmm.
not as deep. Uh, well, the other thing is, I guess for me, I didn't want to put a ton of Picards on the list. I put
Sure.
two. I could have put a third. Uh, that was not my 11th. But I feel like if you have four versions of the same character, you can't run them.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, a top 10, you're never in need of 10 captains. But yeah, it was a tougher list to build than I thought. Um, top 10 Romulan captains would be almost impossible.
Yeah. On that point, when we were doing the Earth Romulan War and we were talking about doing playoffs where you combine um, two fleets together and replace uniques, so you're basically running a 240 point fleet. It was interesting how troubling that was to try and do with Romulans. Like you could make a 120 point fleet that was competitive against the best the Federation has to offer, but if you went up to 240, there's just not enough good Romulan cards, captains.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the Federation was deeper. Maybe I mean you're not talking about 10 Fed captains on there, but it is an interesting sort of way to compare.
No, because
Um,
you end up
they don't
talking
have much of a
about,
bench. Yeah.
yeah, you end up talking about what, 5 to 6, 7 Fed captains, probably.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm. Oh, that's right, because of uniques too. Yeah.
yeah. And it depends, right? If you're trying to swarm, there's different captains. But
Sure.
it's also okay. Denatra is a fabulous Romulan captain, but Romulans don't have the ships to do a swarm.
It's true. Yeah. Faction Pure gets weird.
It does. And I'm never gonna knock the way somebody wants to play. Not anymore. I've learned. Um, I have always felt that ship pure. If you're going to go with some kind of purity, ship pure or thematic pure, which is really tough to pull off. But ship pure is a
Or defined.
lot
Yeah.
more feasible than fleet pure.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because then you can put Denatra on a Romulan ship and she can will do what her card text says. Boost to
Yeah.
sovereign class.
Yeah, yeah.
She's kind of meant for a mixed fleet. Uh, and that way you also don't get screwed over by cards that target every Dominion ship or every Fed ship. If you run up against that, you're hosed. If you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have any, that card basically has no effect. So Ship Pure gives a little more variety, and you can still
I
run
see.
Fleet Pure if you want, but it doesn't pigeonhole somebody. I'm perfectly happy to run a or an independent ship, a Vulcan ship, but trying to run a fleet of Vulcans, probably a bit tougher than I want.
Hmm. It's sort of faithful to the show too that they didn't really mix within the ship, but yeah, there was alliances and fleets that fought on the same side with different ship factions and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, ship pure feels like a nice balance to me. I agree. It also tamps down some of the combos that get crazy
yeah. And I'm
while
not
still
trying to.
being attack wing. Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how they're supposed to play. That's never the point, never the purpose here. But I think that's just a little more reasonable, and it lets you do things like run. There's a Jedzia Dax that says does not pay a faction penalty for a Klingon ship,
Yeah,
or a
right.
right.
Some of those
There's
things.
the
Or Ricard. I guess Ricard wouldn't work, but yeah.
Matter of Honor Riker that can go on the a Klingon ship. When he was in the officer exchange program.
Right,
There's
right.
that
I like
Riker.
that episode.
You
Yeah.
you can run those things. That's the thematic side of it. You can steal the Romulan cloaking device for the Constitution Enterprise.
That
It
would be fun.
happened in the show.
Yep, yep. That makes it legal.
It makes it fun, right? And I think that's just part of the charm sometimes. Should you do it every single time? No, they didn't do that every single time. They did that once. Um, you
Yeah.
know, you want to run the HMS Bounty and keep a Klingon crew on there because, oh, maybe they didn't get rid of a Klingon officer? Yeah, sure. Why not?
That's why Maltz was still alive, I
Yeah.
think. I guess he got off at Vulcan. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, they just left him at Vulcan in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a thought.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. To the point of what you were saying, we've definitely seen success lately, I think, in really sort of mixing up from one event to the next. So it's not just someone fine tuning their meta in tournament after tournament. It's like, oh, now we have to build ship pure, or now you have to build one ship, or now you have to decide is it Fed or Romulan you're doing. And I think people like it when they have to think all over again each time.
Yes.
I think. So some people have their favorites, but
Sure,
uh,
but as
there's
long
something to be
as
said for variety.
I guess as long as people have the ability to run their favorites from time to time, you know, I
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
once every 3 to 4 months, then it's not like, oh, I never get to run this.
Right, right.
And maybe it's time for a Dominion war
Yeah, I think so.
where
We're thinking about it.
where you can
Yeah,
have, Dominion's not in a bad place. It's got some really cool stuff.
right, right. With
Um,
the Cardassians and everything. Yeah.
but
And now Breen are cheaper, right? From Alliance 3?
yeah, generic.
The
I'm not
generic
sure
stuff.
that helps them.
Okay.
It might. I don't. I've never wanted to run a generic Breen ship. Uh,
Most of the success I've seen with Energy Dissipator has been when you're paying 11 points for it or whatever it is on some other ship,
and putting it on the
not on a
Reliant.
Breen. Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe the Vorn, but
I think Tristan put it on the Hirogen hunting vessel. I don't remember why,
oh,
but
that could be
somehow it
fun.
comboed well with the ship ability.
Let
Something
me.
about when you do an attack that does no damage would work
Oh,
well with
yeah.
Energy Dissipator.
Right, because the energy dissipator will do no damage. So
Yeah.
then the name kicks in, where you get to target the defending ship, place a battle station token beside the ship, perform a target lock as a free action on the target ship.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
So
a
you
good
get a
combo.
battle station target lock.
And now you're attacking. Yeah.
So I would think you would scan to start to knock down their defenses to give
Oh,
yourself a
so you can
shot at
afford to
the
do
energy
those. Yeah.
dissipator. And you run
Yeah.
something like Carr as the captain.
I think Tristan, I remember that. I don't know if it was I guess it was maybe our second or third event we did at Fremont. So it was years ago, but that was right when Scott joined and he, like the world champion. And Tristan ran this crazy fleet that I think was two Herogen vessels, both paying 11 points for energy dissipator and came really close to winning. He almost won, but Scott just had an RSV to decker him to death or something, and
Oh,
Scott pulled that one out. But those were the days. I remember watching that when Robert was broadcasting it. That was fun.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that's a fun idea. I've never done much with energy dissipator, but we have tried
I
to
really
see if
like it
our
on the
hold one.
Reliant.
Okay, I'll have to think about that one.
Because you get the 180 arc
Okay, right.
and yeah, it just you give yourself more chances. That's all it is. But the Hirogen hunting vessel's a nice call for it too.
Yeah,
That's then you can follow up with some really fun stuff. I don't know. There are untapped combos out there. I
I think
know
so.
it.
I
I
think so.
it's you know if there's no other takeaway from today, I think it's find things that are just fun and go for it.
Yep, yep.
Right? It's you know people get excited about certain cards, right? Disruptor sweep. That's going to be the new talk for a long time.
Hmm.
I think that's a card coming in Alliance 3 that people are going to run a lot of. But I'm sure that there's gems out there that people aren't really talking about, aren't hyper excited about, where they're going to go, "Oh, wait. This now makes this other combo work."
Yeah.
And
That's what happened with Esri Dax.
oh
I
goodness.
didn't realize it was going to be such a strong card. I remember Tucker saying that's probably the best one in the pack, or the one that might be game breaking more than anything. And I was like, Esri, I didn't even really notice her.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes time to come around to these ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's one of the things I do when I look through people's custom stuff and I make those videos and I have fun with that. But I look at it and I go, oh wait, this combos with this, and this.
Oh, right, right.
And if that were to exist, we'd have issues.
Yes, yes.
And not
And we
saying
might
it's
have said that with
bad.
the cloaking device now, the way it is.
Yeah.
There's issues.
Um, that's one of the other things. I wish that the game had eras. Um, just
To compete within? You mean just like a subset of the
yeah. So you have like Archer's era, and then you have the TOS
Mhm.
animated era. Maybe I'd probably throw motion picture into that.
Yeah.
All the TOS movies. So that's all one big era, and then you have next gen Deep Space Nine Voyager as an era. Probably Lower Decks fits in that as well because that's all
Mm.
the TNG movies. Lower Decks is right after that,
Oh, okay.
and then you'd have a Picard era after that if they ever
Yeah, that would
did.
be kind of nice, like a icon on the cards to make it clear. Because sometimes the people, it's pretty clear what era they're from,
Yeah,
but
the
unless
tech
we
gets a
know
little
where did
messier.
this weapon come from or this tech, yeah, yeah,
And if you divided it up that way, then you'd need you couldn't move anything backwards,
oh, I see. I haven't thought of it that way. Yeah,
and moving
yeah, that's a
things
that's a
up
neat idea.
could also be a fact or a time penalty.
Right.
I don't
I
know,
like it.
and probably more convoluted than it ever needed to be, but um, I don't know. I think it just that can eliminate certain crazy combos because you would
Hmm.
never see Esri comboing with Leonard McCoy.
Right.
from Kelvin. That's just
Oh yeah, that's right. Or Gold Madrid. Yeah.
because they're people from different times. Now Ezri would combo with Gol Madred, but without the captain
Yeah,
saver,
yeah,
you
yeah.
got to make a
That's a key
choice,
part of it. Hmm.
right? So you can have
Yeah, kind of what
McCoy.
happens with penalty pure or with ship pure.
Actually, no, you can't have the choice. McCoy would work to save Kang, I think.
Are you talking about the combo you can do now with everything? The
Yeah,
combos McCoy, Madred, and Esri. That's right.
right.
Because McCoy places time tokens on the captain instead of the captain discarding, and then Esri keeps those time tokens from being placed.
Right, right. But I think which there's a Klingon captain.
With the two crits, you mean? Kang?
Yeah, the true crits. Is that a
Yeah.
core? It's probably a core.
Kang can do two crits, and Core also is superpower. The animated Core
Yeah,
really benefits from Esri because it happens every round, so you can always attack and stay close,
that's what it is.
add hits and
Yeah.
stuff.
So, the animated core is out of time with Ezri. So you just prevent some of those combos. That's the
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
Uh,
I will say it was fun when we did Ship Pure. I was trying to do my usual style of build with shuttlecrafts, loading up the weapon zero or malts or whatever, and it was super constrained because every ship had to just be faction pure.
oh,
And so I
goodness.
did a thing with shuttlecrafts and the Queen Vessel Prime board thing. It was kind of fun to try and do my usual thing, but just under lots of constraints. It wasn't as powerful as usual, but
Yeah.
it was still fun,
Well,
no
you can load
question.
up a Brel pretty good
Yeah, that's true.
with malts. You can get a Ferengi shuttle is independent. So that works nicely.
Why didn't I do malts? I don't think I did. I think I did. Yeah, I did a Sakharov and a QVP.
Mm.
I should have gone with malts. Thinking about it now, I went away from my roots. I don't know.
Yeah, hey. Life happens.
Yep, that's true.
I don't know.
I got to see what everyone else is doing too.
It's fun. It's all good options. I I don't know. I need to find a way to get ships actually on a table at some point. That's what I've been missing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Um okay. I got uh I got one last thing for you that I'm going to do and you're probably
All right.
not going to like it.
Oh boy.
So, I'm going to give you a blind ranking. So you're going to have to put these in a ranking spot 1 through 5.
Okay.
I'm going to give you uh, 5 factions. And you can rank them based on attack wing stuff or how you feel about them in the show. Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
But I promise they will be actual attack wing factions.
Okay. There's not
So
that many, so
there's not that many. So you do have that constraint going for you. Sorry, I'm loading up my list here. I didn't have it ready. So, come on. Okay. The first one on your list in your 1 through 5 is Borg.
okay.
So, where would you like to put that?
Oh, oh, that's what you mean by a blind ranking.
Yes, you have to put it 1 through
I don't
5
know the
without
other.
knowing what's next.
Okay. So my criteria would be how much I like to play that, how much I like to run that faction in attack wing. Borg, ooh, I kind of like them. I love technological distinctiveness. Um, I love the assimilated ships. I'm gonna put Borg number 3,
Number 3. Okay. All right. Next up, you have
leaving room for some.
sure. Next up, you have
Okay.
Vulcan.
Oh gosh. Okay. Vulcan, I'm gonna put number 5. And as much as I love Mr. Spock, in Attack Wing, I've just never ever gotten into them. Um, their abilities don't excite me. All the scan stuff, I'm not feeling it. And then I heard they can't even turn with white, so I've
No,
never
they
gotten into
they
Vulcan.
don't turn well. Not at all. All right.
So I'm going to be bold and make them number 5 without hearing what's still to
What's
come.
next? Okay. Next, you have Klingons.
Well, I got to put Klingons in the top half because they have some of my favorite cards. I love Lawrence Bird of Prey. My whole Attack Wing experience is centered on malts. So, ooh, there's some other ones out there I like though. I'm gonna hedge my bets and put Klingon number 2.
Number 2 for
And I
Klingon.
apologize in advance to Maltz for not putting his fleet, his faction number 1. But I got to keep my options open.
Okay, so you have spot number 1 and spot number 4 left, and next
Yep,
on your
yep.
list is Zindi.
Ugh. Ugh. Well, it's similar to Klingon in that there's some of my go-tos in there. I love the Weapon Zero. It's so fun. I love the 6 attack dice. I love the fact that you can stomp on your own ships. I love the fact that you can fly in front of your own ships and sort of control where your Weapon Zero is going to land. Ugh. I'm going to put Zindi number 1. I'm,
Oh,
I can't abandon the Weapon Zero.
which means your number 4 is Romulans.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I love the Romulans too. I guess I have a lot of favorites. I really enjoyed running Romulans in the Earth Romulan War. The cloaking device was fun. I love the Valdor class with flanking attack. But I'm okay with Romulans going forth. Um, Probably would have put them a little higher if you'd given me some warning, but they do have some flaws, so I'm okay
Okay,
with that.
so knowing the entire list, how would you re-rank it? So you
I
currently
would probably
have.
put.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. So currently I'm Zindi, Klingon, Borg, Romulan, Vulcan. I'm
Yes.
good with Vulcan being 5. That one's easy.
Okay.
Um, I would probably put Borg down to 4. They're fun, but
Okay.
compared to these other ones. And I might go. I might go still. Zindi's a weird one because there's a lot of Zindi cards I don't really like. I don't really know the other ships, but Weapon Zero has to rule the day. So I guess I'm okay with Zindi Romulan. I'm sorry, with Zindi Klingon Romulan.
Oh,
So I won't vary from my actual answers too much.
that's not bad. Just a swap of third and fourth. See, I was thinking like if you'd put Zindi at 4 and then Romulan goes to the top, for me that would have been like the perfect list.
Yeah, I wouldn't really object to it.
But I
I
mean,
I
I just
have
favor
had fun
Romulans
running
a lot,
Romulans.
but
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah.
mean,
If it's
if you
good,
rank them on like their impact in Star Trek lore, I
mm,
think Borg have to go to the top. But
yeah, yeah. Zindi weren't that big of a deal, but they did give us Weapon Zero, and I'm very grateful for that.
yeah, well, hey,
So I'm
Zindi
okay
were
with
a
them.
whole season of Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun. I watched that for the first time in the last year. Really enjoyed it. Didn't realize how much I'd enjoy Enterprise, but I did.
No, it's I remember watching that live was or
Mm,
as it came out week by week. It just some of it just felt slow. Some very
right.
good episodes though. The future Enterprise that was stuck in the past or stuck in the Delphic Expanse
Mhm.
with the generation that I would love to see that version of the Enterprise in Attack Wing, even just as a different named ship. That's a
Hmm.
mirror.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Just it's got some cool upgrades, some different characters too. Like that would be a nice ship to bring in. But aside from that, there were some very slow, not necessarily hyper Star Trek feeling episodes where it's like, okay, and we basically did nothing in this episode. But rewatching it, binging through the season felt better.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like, okay, I can watch 3 episodes and feel like something happened, which I think is always helpful. All right. Hey, we should wrap this up at this
Okay.
point. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. And, well, I'll leave a link to the Fremont Reformation Discord in the
Ooh,
description.
good plan.
Anything else you'd like to shout out?
Just thanks for having me on the show. It's great to sit around, and I feel like we could easily have sat around and talked for 10 hours straight without losing, without running out of things to talk to. So
Oh, of course.
this
Hey,
is
Jeff, I'll have you on
this is
again.
fun.
We'll do a follow up to
Okay,
this.
there you go. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Hey, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks a
Until
lot.
next time. Keep brushing up your
Okay.
game, everybody. Thank you again, Jeff.